Okay, so we're going to do this next one out of sequence. The next one should be a late black version Uniden 100. We're going to do this Rotel 220, which has come from a local gentleman. Let's go for it's not transmitting on all channels, so the VCO is going to be out. The reason I want to do this is I want to field test that Intech handheld, and I can't use our Midland 76900 base station because there's a problem with the aerial. One of the brackets is broken, so it's not the correct height. We're all right doing the tests we do, you know, half a mile away, but not to do a fair test. So I'm going to have to use the aerial here, and I have to be honest and say it isn't as good an aerial as the one we usually use. It's deliberately not as good as an aerial to make the tests harder. So I want to use a Rotel 220 rather than this customer's Uniden 100, because I don't think Unidens are anything like as sensitive as the Cybernet. So, oops, there's somebody's name there. Right. So it does not transmit above channel 2728. So it's come with the instruction book. We've got that on file. I'll put his note in there. It's one of these time warp sets, but you know, a lot of the time warp sets which are new in the box don't work, and the reason they don't work, it's got the bracket and everything. So if Simon's watching this, Simon from Brickworks, notice the locating stud stamped into it there. So if you want me to measure this or something whilst it's here, send me an email. If you've got the factory original mic, we'll do that right at the end, and we'll run this on our standard replacement mic. Oh, where can I stack that box? It's a Delta bass microphone we should never have been doing, but at least it fixed it for the bloke, and that's good, because I appreciate they are collectible, even though they're hateful. And by today's standards, they're well made. Right, we'll connect this to, we've got the power cord, which is the original. Connect that to our famous crocodile clips and watch them short together. So I want to keep this on the bench. We'll do it on the air test, but I also want to do the field test. If this set works satisfactorily at the end, if it doesn't, well, we'll have to select a better one. I'd like it to be better than 0.3 microvolts, and they're capable of that, though the manufacturer says they should be better than 0.7. So we're not going to open it up, even though we know it's going to be a VCO problem. I'll go and get the Cybernet standard mic. That's the one that says Cybernet down the side. Right, power it up, 13.8 volts. It's on 19, what a strange channel. Is it swearing and burner channel? Noise on the volume control. Don't have PA. Right, we'll put picture in picture on and put it there, and I'm in the 3 watt scale, channel 20, and after a slight reluctance it did go into transmit its 3 watts. Mind you, that slight reluctance was still quicker than most new sets, which, hello, have you pressed transmit? Yeah, it's pressed transmit. Oh, we'll go into transmit. Channel 40, no transmit. Well, I think the thing to do is which does it transmit on? It's 27, no, 26, nearly 25, not quite 20. It's still 3 watts. So we'll put it 28. It was 3 watts. And channel 40, channel 1. 3.05. Back to channel 20, and the current consumption is 1.025, and if we go to low power, there's a switch there somewhere, 120 milliwatts. Back to full. Initial deviation on this test set, we'll have to retune it because we're doing CPT last. Wallow, 1.5 on this test set for what it's worth. Now this is obviously out. Frequency, test set's been on sufficient time for it to be accurate. 2779114 is virtually spot on. Of course, it should be 2779115 So we'll put that in the signal generator. So we're doing absolutely fair test on receive. 2779. I can hear it receiving. I'll put the SINAD meter on ready and the oscilloscope, because that's what it is. 79125. It might be a road trip to Huntingdon. I bought a camcorder. Chippie looks at this Facebook market thing, and you know, I prefer eBay's fees and Vinted fees than what. It's far too slack. I know he went to buy a Marshall guitar amp, and arranged to meet this guy, and he came out between an alleyway between 2 council houses. You know, what was his address? You know, was it stolen? No teeth to it. So anyway, so obviously, the person on Facebook Marketplace couldn't possibly post as a camcorder. Might meaning getting a box and me paying for post. You just drag us 65 miles to Huntingdon or whatever it is. Right, and the other thing with Facebook Marketplace is you ask, have you still got the camera you're selling? And they either don't get back to you ever. Oh, we sold it 2 years ago. Right. We need an earth for this. And I don't want to open the setup. There we go. Earth the earth. Sounds like a funeral prayer, doesn't it? Ashes to ashes. Let's just pop it back into transmit. Let's have a look at what... Oh, here we go. We won't do that. Right, we'll put the SINAD meter on. One day I'll reset the position. But as soon as I do that, the mice will move it. Oh, it's good set, this. Yeah, it's already 0.25. Mind you, the detector could be out, so it could be false. 0.21. But with the detector at 0.48, I doubt with 20 dB at 0.48, I doubt the detector's out. Squelch to full. Let's put the attenuator up on the inset picture. So I want it to open at 10 microvolts, but there's no hard and fast rule on that. It's opening at 30, so let's put an exact figure down. It's opening at 23, so that's a bit too wishy-washy. Just turn the volume down. So that does want improving. And then we'll just do the opposite and see what the sensitivity is. So squelch the threshold on the radio. Straight in at 0.3. 0.3. So at the S meter, let's put 100 microvolts on the test set, so it's where it should be for S9. It's 300 microvolts, so that wants, so it's what's known as a lazy meter, but at least it's adjustable. Switchers, they work. Sockets work. So we'll tick that off when we do it. So yeah, it's an okay working set. It doesn't look like it's been messed with. We'll get it opened up. And the first thing, of course, we're going to do is the VCO, which will sort its problem out. Disconnect the speaker, which is connected the right way around. If I can disconnect the speaker, that is. You know, this smells of new radio, even though it's 40 odd years old. And this one, you've got the strap across, which makes my tests easier. The only thing we didn't test, and I will now do that, is what did the RF meter say on transmit. It says 3, which is actually what it's doing. So VCO, channel 40, select. So I just need to put an earth we'll use that one. Resist 4, switch this meter on. We're on channel 40. In receive, what have we got? We've got 4.79 volts, which is too high, and in transmit we've got 6.34, which is out of lock. So we'll go 6.3 plus, what did I say? I mean, that's not out of lock, but it's not right. 4.79. So one of the things that can happen is these presets can fail, but I'm going to keep this on the bench not only now and for it's on the air test, and to do the field test for the walkie-talkie, and then we'll keep it on the bench overnight, having switched it off. We'll put it on tomorrow and recheck it, because I don't want to spend customers' money unnecessarily by changing that. It might just have drifted, and it might have been wrong from new, as in by the time it's got here and come out of the box it didn't work and it's gone back as a return. So a lot of immaculate sets are returns. Lockups full of returned radios in boxes. Oh, we've got absolute fortune here, they think, but none of them work. Right, so transmit. So let's get that to somewhere like lock position. I'm going to waggle the preset round. So it's at 3.9-ish. Then for receive, I doubt it's been fiddled with, it's just the way it is. Receive, transmit now needs readjusting. So 3.9 something, let's just get that to the 4. .04 on receive, 4.2 on transmit. Right, 4.03 on receive, 4.04 on transmit, 4.04 on receive, 4.04 on transmit. Let's select channel 1. 2.33 on receive, 2.3, 2.4 on transmit. .04 plus 4.04 is what I'm writing down. So that's his fault cleared, which of course isn't a fault at all, it's just part of routine service. Yes. Let's see what we can do with the transmitter for him. So select channel 20. We're beyond the 3 watt scale now, so we'll just go on to the 30 watt scale. So 30's there, 5, 4, so it's at 3. So just go up these. Be nice if we can get full 4 watts out of this. So it's the centre of the peak, not just the peak. It's dropping as it heats up. Right, so we go into these PA ones. So temporarily we put it to full whack. Needs to really be able to do more than 4.4 to balance it properly. Never ever leave it at full whack. Not just from a legal point of view, but it's not designed to do that. It will thrash it. These coils actually melt, and you're not going to get replacements, and you're not going to get more range anyway, because the difference between if you're going to screw 5 watts out of it instead of 4, it's not 25% better range, it's about 100 yards better range. Just like a record player with a 5 watt output instead of a 4 watt output isn't 25% louder. So we turn this one to 4.4, which is there. So at absolute full whack this did 4.6. And then anti-clockwise, the manufacturer says for 3.8 watts, but we're allowed 4 watts, and we're jolly well having 4 watts. We don't have to get it through customs like they do. Channel 40 test is 4 watts spot on. Channel 1 is 4 watts spot on. Back to channel 20. 4 watts, 4 watts, 4 watts. There's a story about that. Probably what's the meter now say. The meter is now banging across, so we'll adjust that. It actually only just goes down that low. Low power, so switch the test set to low power. I think that's probably a dirty preset. Waggle that about. Boom, 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 boom. That's waggled it. 400 milliwatts. Back to full power. Current consumption 1.235. What a nice example. 1.235 amps. Now 400 milliwatts. Now the deviation, we'll go through the test set behind me in case this one's lying today. Wow, it's 1.7. So I want to make sure this first preset, which is the feedback AGC thing, is in the central position, which it wasn't. And then we'll use the deviation. Wallow, wallow. Spot on. Back to the Marconi test set. See whether it's lying or not. Wow, it's a bit low on that, so it's lying today. So it was 1.7 kilohertz, and it's now 2.2 to 2.5. So 1.7 by that is 1.5 to 1.7 as a peak. Alright, frequency, we will just pull this up. You know, it doesn't matter which way I turn these, it's always the wrong way. And it's not like right is up and left is down, it can be either way. It's random. 2779126. It's actually nice to have a radio with no faults, isn't it? No rust, no faults, beautiful. Right, we'll go to the oscilloscope, connect back to earthing our speaker. And 100 microvolts on the signal generator, 2779125. also deal with that volume control. Squelch isn't noisy, but the volume is. So with the oscilloscope on 100 microvolts on the test set, want to get enough volume for a sensible waveform, and we'll check where that detector is. The answer is slightly out. Right, we'll go over to the SINAD meter. I think we'll do the IFs first. 4. So 12 dB. You don't get the extra stage on these. This is the lower end Cybernet 134 chassis. The Rotel 230 can be 50-50. Sometimes you get the extra coil, sometimes you don't. The base stations like the Harrier CBHQ, the York 869, the Midland 76900, they have an extra stage there. It's all to do with selectivity, in other words bleed over. It doesn't make any difference to the range unless you struggle with bleed over because of people living next door but one also using CB radio. Where I'm in the middle of nowhere, really rubbish sets like the Signal 1001, we've had ground radar interference from RAF Cranwell. But I'm not going to go knocking on their door asking to turn their radar off. Very, very slight on that, very, very slight on that, nothing on that. We'll drop the signal down to about 4 dB and we'll do the front end. I'd have thought there was... I think there's tie wraps missing, you know, after this. I think there should be another one there, but I've only got one on the bench. Have I? No, I haven't. May as well tidy it up. Perhaps somebody's been searching in the wiring for the missing channels. Oh, wow. It's an improvement. Spot on. There we go. Let's look at our new figures. Is it better or have I fixed it worse? Just hold on to the chassis. No, that doesn't do anything to it. 12 dB, it's about there. Oh, yeah, right. 0.2. So 10 dB is off my scale, but unfortunately I'm between scales, so we get 0.2 on the other scale as well, so it's better than 0.2, but just between scales. It's one of the best ones I've seen. 20 dB. I've got to be extra immaculate as I can't do my walkie-talkie test with it. 0.36. You know what, when you see this in the instruction book, like better than 0.5 microvolts for 20 dB, you think it's bull. That Intec handheld said that, but it doesn't do that. This does. Let's do S9. That looks like it's now exactly on S9. We'll just check with the preset. Yeah. So that retune fixed the meter deafness. Let's do that. They're not those nasty sealed ones, are they? You can take the front off, but there's some rivet holes to spray down, which you can also do, which is what I'm doing. Yeah, that's got it. And we also did low power preset, dirty. Squelch. Squelch to full on the radio. Remember, it was opening at 0.3, which was too wishy-washy. Well, at 3, so it still is. So we need to toughen that up a bit. Spot on, 100. And then we've got to hope that it's still sensible at the other end. So minimum sensitivity, set threshold with the signal generator to standby. That's threshold, signal generator is parked at 0.3 of a microvolt. We switch it back on and it's now 0.37. So it was 0.3, so it's obviously going to be less as we've increased the maximum. So that's ideal as well, because I don't like them to be really greater than 1 microvolt. You know, it's better if it's 0.9, 0.7, something like that. If you're going through a town, you're going to be wanting like 2 microvolts on, aren't you? Because otherwise you're going to get Wi-Fi rubbish coming through. So that's great. I'm going to just recheck this VCO in case it's drifting. So I've gone back to channel 40. And let's just check what we've got on receive. Got 4 volts dead. It's going to transmit 3.97. Now I don't think it's drifting around, it's just one of those things. It's probably not been around for 40 years. I'll put the lids back on. Of course you can't fetch it till I've done using it. God, that's got gnarled up, hasn't it? Good. Right, we'll plug it into the aerial and see if there's any bad buddies out there. I've had some sensitive sets, especially Cybernet chassis ones, and this one is one of those that really takes the biscuit. That socket feels nice and tight as well. Right, we'll start on silly channel. 1 Anna Roger. It's not that one, is it? 1 Anna Roger. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, so they're probably not out of bed. Somebody with a silly bleep. One Anna Roger. No Rogers to be had. Okay, well, we'll do an on-the-air test with this, and then we'll use it for our field test for the walkie-talkie for the Intech customer. And then we might condescend to let the customer have it back. Thanks for watching the Rotel RVC220 Immaculate Radio, which works immaculately from 1981.